Welcome to the Midlife Mix, the podcast where food, fitness, and real life come together. I'm Jo, a women's health and fitness coach specializing in menopause and midlife, here to help women feel stronger, healthier, and more confident as their bodies change.
And I'm Lana, a chef and culinary medicine coach, passionate about helping women nourish their health through simple, delicious food that actually supports the stage of life.
This is your safe space where you can expect honest, unfiltered, and sometimes raw conversations about midlife.
We talk about the things that often get brushed over: hormones, energy, weight changes, food, movement, and mindset, all without judgment, perfection, or pressure.
This isn't polished or perspective. It's real, refreshing, and rooted in experience, science, and compassion.
So whether you're navigating perimenopause, menopause, or simply want to feel better in your body, you're in the right place.
Welcome to the Midlife Mix.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Hey.
Welcome back to the Midlife Mix podcast. And today we're discussing GLP-1, a really hot topic in the health and wellness space right now, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, though, know it through medications such as Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, which are widely discussed for weight loss and metabolic health. Although there's still a lot of confusion around what GLP-1 actually is and how these medications actually work. So today we're going to unpack it in a clear and grounded way so that we can better understand how GLP-1 naturally works in our bodies, what changes when we use it in the form of medication, and what we currently know about its impact on hunger, weight, and metabolic health. And to help us break down all of this information, we're joined by someone whose path into fitness brings both clinical insight and real-world strength. Today's guest is Coach Marlon Villanueva, a women's health and fitness advocate focused on helping women build strength, confidence, and sustainable results at every stage of life. He's a NASM certified personal trainer with experience in pre- and postnatal training, a functional strength coach, and a glute specialist, ladies. He's also a master trainer in kettlebells, boxing, and MMA, bringing a dynamic, high-performance edge to his approach. But before fully stepping into the fitness world, Marlon worked as a nurse practitioner for 5 years, giving him a deeper, science-backed understanding of the body, recovery, and long-term health. His work blends that medical background with practical training, making his approach especially relevant for women, navigating everywhere from foundational fitness to major life transitions. Hi, Marlon, and we are so honored to have you on this.
Welcome, Marlon.
Hello, everyone. I'm very honored to be here and got invited to your podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So let's get right into it and ask you, what is GLP-1 in the body and where is it produced?
Well, to keep things simple, because a lot of people have been asking, when they think about GLP-1, they immediately think of medication.
Yes.
They kind of forget that GLP-1, which is glucagon-like peptide 1, is already produced in your body. It's literally in the lining of your colon and small intestine. So it's already in your body. It's just that when we talk about GLP-1s now, a lot of people will always refer to the medications, the peptides that's being marketed right now through the pharmacies and through these influencers.
And so when we talk about the GLP-1 medications, Ozempic, I always have trouble saying that one, Wegovy, Mounjaro. So can you just explain what they are actually?
Well, the thing that they do is they mimic the peptide. So since you have the peptides already in your body, what they do is once you get these inside your body, they mimic the same functions that the GLP-1s and the other peptides that they do in the body. Basically, they are messengers. They're not medications, as most people that you probably ask would do. Well, they are currently in your pharmacy, but they're not medications. They're peptides. And a lot of people misunderstand peptides. Peptides act as messengers and asks the body through signals on what the body should be doing. So with GLP-1, it's kind of like asking somebody that, like, hey, deliver this message to the brain, and so that you can get a specific reaction for your body to do.
Okay, so taking all of that information, how does that play like in a way on appetite, digestion, just blood sugar regulation? How does all of that fit in?
Since the technical function of a GLP-1 is triggered by food consumption, particularly your carbs and then your fats. Once it basically goes into your gut lining, your small intestine, and then your colon, it signals that you're basically eating and you kind of need to stop. It's the satiety hormone that will tell you, hey, you're kind of full. And so a lot of people, when they take this GLP-1 medications, the first thing that you would probably see as a symptom is they don't want to eat.
Yeah.
So it just cuts off that cuts off the food noise, and the appetite essentially.
Exactly. That's the signal that's going to be sent to the brain, and since that's the signal sent by these messenger, it's going to act for your body, as the brain will tell you, hey, you don't want to eat, you're kind of full, and you don't want to. Even if you take a look at a food that you usually would preferably like to eat, the brain is already telling you, I don't want this anymore.
Right. Yeah. And is there a difference between the brand names that we've spoken about, the Mounjaro, the Ozempic? Is there a difference in any of those?
Technically speaking, these peptides have been around for like 2 decades. In terms of differences, it depends on the peptide that's being used. If you take a look at the GLP-1s like Ozempic, they're GLP-1s. And then we have a look at Mounjaro, which is at tirzepatide. It's GLP-1 plus a GIP. It's kind of stacked. If you're asking us, like, what's the difference between these two? They have different signaling, depends on which one is you've taken. For example, if you do GLP-1, it kind of gets the food noise out of you, and then that basically gets you into weight loss, because if you don't eat, you're going to go exactly to a caloric deficit, in which a lot of people are kind of struggling normally, and that's why they're taking GLP-1s. And then you have the GLP-1 plus the GIP, which is it's a long term. It's a glucose dependent insulinatory something peptide, polypeptide. And then basically what it does is it keeps your gut lining healthy. And since your gut lining is healthier and it decreases your gastric emptying, the effect is much better. And that's why when you take a look at the differences between an Ozempic user and then a Mounjaro user, a lot of people who takes Mounjaro reports that they have more effectiveness in terms of using it compared to those who are using Ozempic, because of the differences in the messages. One is only a GLP-1 and the other one is a GLP-1 stacked with a GIP.
Right. Interesting.
So how do you decide, like, which okay, before that question, how does that relate to the way our body's natural GLP-1? So is it exactly the same way as our natural GLP-1 works, like Ozempic and Mounjaro? Do they work in the
They work exactly, yes.
exactly
If you're
the
asking if
same
they
way?
work exactly the same way, they work exactly the same way.
We have both of these pathways in our bodies naturally.
Yep. Everything that the peptide does is enhance the message towards the brain. It's already in your body. It's like you're supplementing that message so that the brain receives the message better. And since the
Okay.
brain receives the message better, it acts better in terms of you being able to control what the body needs to do. For example, for a Mounjaro, what happens is it goes straight into the hypothalamus, into the brainstem, which means that the signal is received better. So the food noise, it gets cut off better. You don't eat, you have delayed gastric emptying, your nutrient absorption is better, it slows down the digestion, your acid secretion is reduced. So the things that your body does, because the message has been received well, is being also done well, which is exactly what a peptide does. Send the message received better, there's a better response. So we already have these in our body. The peptides, what they do is they help us get better at it.
Okay. So how do people choose whether to choose Ozempic? Yeah. So how do you choose?
That's a very good question, honestly, because how do people choose is mostly, as of now, if you have a look at statistics, it's not about the doctors who's prescribing these medications, but how good the marketing is in terms of the branding, honestly. Like a lot of people will take them depending on who they kind of saw
taking?
taking them. Exactly. That's why the business of influencing really, really does well as of this moment. So, and the rise of the GLP-1 medications, the semaglutide, the tirzepatide, as we've said earlier, it's already been in the market for a very long time, very long time. And the only reason why they kind of got into the mainstream is because of influencing. Thank you, influencers, for giving this to the world, basically.
Making money on the side with their discount codes.
Of course. And since the influencers and people are already technically using them, well, the doctors don't, or the clinics don't technically have a choice. They
I
would
feel
have
like getting
to
into
ride
like
the wave.
a dangerous area though, because we're having these influencers that are, obviously able to, supply these GLP-1s. May
Definitely.
not necessarily be going through a GP or a doctor. And how do we know the efficacy, and how do we know how pure basically that GLP-1 is? Could it be
The
with something
the
else, for example?
the most honest, direct answer is we don't.
Oh, wow.
So in terms of the peptide market right now, the ones that have trials are the ones that we see right now, which is Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, which is amazing because if most people ask, do peptides work? They do. Straight to the point, they do. The purity depends on the ones that are making them. There's different kinds of purity in terms of peptides. And most of the time, when you come across a peptide and you see different pharmacies producing them, some have, you will see a very common label which says for research purposes only. So there are some that have, if you go to clinics right now, you might be, if you see that, the purity depends on how the peptide was produced, how good the clinic is producing it, and how much the purity is. So there are some peptides that are like 99.9% pure. There are some peptides that are less than 95% pure, and there are kind of levels into this purity. And if you have a very low purity, the instances or the percentage of side effects becomes, of course, bigger, because these are biosignals, and this is why a lot of people in biohacking use these peptides. We don't know what's going to happen to these signals,
Right.
so that's the kind of the other danger about it. And that's why, with regards to Ozempic,
X, yeah.
yes, they've been tested and they've been really good. And I think this is also the reason why when you go and buy them from famous brands right now, like Ozempic and um, Mounjaro, they're kind of expensive.
Mm. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like obviously, it's only accessible maybe to a certain minority of people. I mean, can you walk me through like how would somebody administer it first? I mean, how many times a week? How would they, is it an injection? Is it a tablet? I mean, what's microdosing? That's another word I've been hearing about lately. Could you just kind of walk us through what it might look like for somebody if they decided to start taking a GLP-1?
When somebody starts taking a GLP-1, they usually start with the two most famous ones, which is the Ozempic and the Mounjaro. And these peptides are usually taken subcutaneous, which means they're going to be injected through the fat, either through on their abdomen, or some people take it through their triceps area here on the arms. And it doesn't really matter where you inject it, or it's subcutaneous. So you take a vial. For most most branded peptides would usually have what we call a quick pen. So it's already loaded. It's already on a very short needle.
Right.
Mostly used are insulin needles, and then you just go straight through, put it on the abdomen, and you're done, which makes it really, really easy to use. And that's your quick pen. These are the expensive ones. The not expensive ones, in which you can also get from the market, there's a lot of pharmacies or companies producing peptides. They'll usually provide you with a vial, and then you'd have to kind of manually extract those, extract the peptide, and then use an insulin injection and do the same thing, insert it through a subcutaneous route. Now, I believe there's a brand that just recently came out and has been approved, which is now a pill.
Yeah.
So these peptides are becoming a lot easier, a lot easier to take.
And you
With
can
the subcutaneous one,
Sorry.
with the subcutaneous one, it's once a week. You prick yourself once a week, you're done. With the pill, it's an everyday pill.
Oh, you have to take it every day.
Yes, it's an everyday pill. Same as you were taking a vitamin.
Right. Does your body get used to it? I mean, for example, you start taking a certain dose, and then would you need to up that dose? Like, would your body then start suddenly not seeing results?
This is, I think, where people start talking about microdosing. So microdosing is basically using little bit of doses so that you don't, what they say, shock the body into getting a very big dose. So, for example, Mounjaro has different doses. There's a 2, there's a 5, there's a 10, there's a 15, there's even a 20. It depends. Yeah. Well, using a 20, you'll definitely probably not eat at all.
Wow.
At all.
Why would you have that dosage?
It wasn't made for, just like other things that existed in the market. I think there's a very specific demographic and market for it.
Okay.
So the higher doses are for obese. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were for obese people. They're for diabetic people, because technically these peptides weren't marketed initially as weight loss drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
They weren't. They were diabetic drugs.
I mean,
it helps them.
So someone would start on a low dose and then slowly increase the dose. Is that how? Obviously under a physician's guidance, right?
Hopefully.
Oh.
Hopefully.
I mean, that's where it kind of gets a little bit gray, isn't it? Because I think what we're seeing and what's alarming to me is that people are getting their hands on these drugs and they're doing it because they want to lose 5 or 10 pounds. It's not like they have a significant amount of weight to lose. And I think that's where it gets dangerous. And also, perhaps falling into the hands of somebody that has some, existing or pre-existing, maybe they have anorexia, sort of eating disorders rather. And then that's where that the alarm bells ring for me, to be honest, because it could possibly get into the hands of somebody like that, and then they're not being monitored. What's your opinion on that?
That's actually the role of us especially for me coming from a fitness industry, that is a role for us to basically help people with, not to recommend it, but rather to support people who have been influenced to using it, because a lot of people would like to really get that chance to really lose that weight. It's something that they would like to. It's a chance. It's a very, very big chance for them to just kind of break that barrier, lose that few pounds that's been hounding them for years, that layer of fat that's been
I can see
there.
the appeal, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Yes,
Um,
because when people wanted to lose fat, it's not just because they wanted to lose fat. There's always an underlying factor about losing the fat, either aesthetic purposes or purposes of because they've been bullied because they were fat, or they want to lose weight because they're going to be married, something positive. There's always a reason for weight loss. And a lot of people right now, especially that we're living a very sedentary lifestyle, we've always been sitting down. These people have tried everything, as they said, including tracking their macros, tracking their food, exercising always in the gym, and they're still not losing that that layer of
yeah,
fat
very
or
menopausal women,
weight.
basically.
Yes, and they end up using these.
Yeah. I mean,
And
So,
something what I'm hearing is the people like myself who are in the fitness industry. And again, as I said, they may not have a significant amount of weight to lose, but they want to get a bit leaner. And then they're using the excuse of, I'm doing it because I want to decrease my inflammation. Like all of a sudden, everyone's got inflammation, and that's their excuse for using it.
yes.
But really, underlying what I tend to think is that it's because they really do want to lose those last few pounds.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what do you think about the whole inflammation argument?
and
Well, because since it works for especially Mounjaro, which has a GIP-1, which works on the internal lining of the gut, we do know from science that the gut-brain axis is a very, very effective system in terms of that inflammation, and that's why Mounjaro works better than the GLP-1, which is a semaglutide. And most of the time, that's what they do, since the food that we do or we intake affects how we are inflamed or not inflamed. And that's why a lot of people would need meal preps and those kind of stuff so that they reduce inflammation.
Mm,
If you have a better gut lining, you have better nutrient absorption,
right.
you have better digestion, your your balance in your gut in terms of insulin and glucagon is better. You don't have food noise, which means that inflammation
is
goes out of the way.
so can you
Right.
say that it improves your gut health, like being on
It
a
does. Monjaro does. I mean, the terzepatide peptide does, because it acts on two receptors, not just like GLP-1, which only acts on one receptor. The GLP-1 plus GIP makes you better in terms of gut health, and that's why the inflammation comes down. I've seen this a lot in comparison to a few of my clients. For those who have done Ozempic and Mounjaro, a lot of people are feeling better in terms of using the other brand than the other, and it really depends. For some people have consulted physicians or doctors. Some people just literally just took it straight through,
wow.
and I think that's the danger in it, because they can get it. They can get
Yeah.
it.
In terms of gut health as well, sorry, Lana. But just while it's in my brain, I've heard that if you do have things like IBS and some kind of like gut dysbiosis, like imbalance, it can actually make things worse. Is that true?
Well, that depends on the signal. That's the reason why peptides are kind of something that we're not sure about in terms of signaling. It depends, and that's why for us, it's always been the better case wherein we tell our clients, well, if you do have any underlying conditions, please do consult a physician or an endocrinologist and anyone who is more knowledgeable about specifically using the peptide rather than trusting your most trusted influencer on whatever they say. Because what happens right now in the world of marketing is we kind of play with absolutes. People will claim something, and then the other one is it's half truth only. So it depends on what your underlying conditions are. And if you have somebody who's medically educated, doctors, hopefully, are also medically educated, they will be able to guide you through these underlying conditions. And that's how we usually in the fitness industry tell them to do that. For those who have already been using it and who has experienced side effects, what we usually tell them is, again, please go back to that doctor. Please consult them. An endocrinologist will help you with that. A physician will help you with that. They'll refer you to the specialist for who has specialties with metabolic stuff, and they should be able to guide you through. Because whatever is in your body and the signal that has been supposed to be being sent to help you with the weight loss is not working at all.
Yeah. But I read somewhere, for example, to just bring it back to a certain group of people using it, for example, perimenopausal women who want to kind of, reduce the belly fat. So I read that it actually accelerates bone loss because of the lack of loading on the muscle. I mean, I'm sure on the bone, sorry. I'm sure when you reduce a lot of the fat, and fat actually probably adds weight to your bones. So if you're reducing all that fat at an accelerated, in a really accelerated way, doesn't that shave off the bone as well very quickly? And how does that relate to people who are kind of menopausal or who have osteopenia or osteoporosis? I mean, is like a bone mass density scan something they should do before getting on a GLP-1 to see their bone status? Or
really good point.
They definitely can. They definitely can, because when we do what we do understand in weight loss, to put it simply, is when you do weight loss, you don't just lose fat. You lose everything.
you lose
You
everything.
lose fat, you lose muscle, you have a lot of tissues that's going to be reduced with weight loss. And if you, let's say we are dealing with a person who has been, let's say, a little overweight, and then they have a very, very quick reduction in weight, which is, we all understand in the fitness world, is not healthy. By science, you should be like losing at least, or at most, a kilo per week at most, which translates into about 2 to 4 kilos per month. People who are taking peptides are losing a lot more, which does not give your body to adapt. The body needs time to adapt, and if that is the case, a lot of side effects happen, and one of them is bone loss. Now, with regards to bone loss, it's because, number one, your nutrients that, or the nutrients that have been supplied to your body, since they're drastically stopping these nutrients, you're not eating. Yes, you will experience those as a side effect. The other one is, which is what we do in the fitness industry, is people who have been taking these medications most of the time, unfortunately, do not do any lifestyle changes.
And I think that's really key, isn't it? And I think, obviously, for those that are listening today, like if somebody came along, which was, our typical listener, midlife woman, postmenopausal, what would be your advice to them then, in that case? Like, what should they be looking at to do first before they even consider something like a GLP-1?
What I would recommend, so if somebody talks to me about, let's say, body recomposition, weight loss, or specifically fat loss, as what they say, I would always recommend for them to use the non-pharmacological way, which is exercise. Now, with regards to women in general, in terms of of what we call a rate of perceived exertion. A lot of women do not push through ceiling because not just women, but also men, humans in general, don't want to be uncomfortable.
That's so true. That's
So
that a lot.
that is so true.
when we work and when we work through these kind of challenges in the fitness industry, especially I teach this, and Lana can attest to this. Whenever I teach the course, we are always emphasizing about the rate of perceived exertion. You can only get muscle and adaptations only if you give the body the right amount of stimulation. And most of the time, we're not getting there. The clients that we have are not getting there. And that's, I think, why a lot of people will need a coach, so that they can motivate them and push you through that challenge of getting the perceived exertion. Because a lot of people, let's say for women for midlife women, you've been through a lot on life, and putting you through the gym, which is a very stressful place, if I may say, is another added stress, both mentally and physically, and in general, for women, you would rather push really hard with your legs and lower body rather than the upper body. And it's the opposite way in the spectrum, wherein men will push through with a lot of upper body and probably forget they have legs.
Yeah.
And in both cases, what we do is we try to find a balance on how we can change the behavior and motivate them, because we all know that, number one, for you to keep that fat off of your body, you need to have enough muscle mass so that you can keep your body metabolic rate high. That's literally the best way to keep fat off. You have a very big lean muscle mass, you're very least likely to have fat, unless you're literally binging and overeating on calories and surplus. And then for women, of course, I would always recommend you and always tell them this: you are always underestimating your strength. Always. And I find this every day, even with my clients, wherein when you ask them to do a deadlift, for example, they'd be like, "Oh, just this morning, I had a client, and she tried a deadlift for her first set, and she was like 60, yeah, 60, and I was like, it's very heavy. It's like RPE 9." And then I literally prepped her for using a PAP system, post activation potentiation. Gave her 10 kilograms less, and then on the third set, gave her actually 10 kilograms more. She lifted that 70 for 10 reps. And she was like, yeah, but earlier you said you couldn't lift the 60.
Psychology or something.
So what you're saying basically is that if someone stops these medications and without any lifestyle change, they're going to put all the weight back on.
Yes, it has been proven.
Weight
1.5 years.
and
it's
fat.
back.
More, and then some. I think they put
and then some.
on, and they're in a worst case. They've already dropped their metabolism, right, because they've lost muscle, and then they don't have these cut-off signals in the brain anymore, and then suddenly it all comes back. I mean, I have no idea what it must feel like, but is it like a switch? Does all those cravings suddenly just come back? Like
exactly, that's what exactly happens.
Do they come back worse? Are the cravings even worse? Like, do you put on fat like a lot faster than when before you were on the medication? A lot faster than before you were on?
What happened during a research was they put on all the weight that they lost back in about an average of 1 to 1.5 years. Without any lifestyle changes, it just comes back. As Joawi mentioned earlier, the signal's lost. So there's no more signal. There's no more reaction to the body.
Right. And from my understanding as well, obviously we make the GLP-1 ourselves naturally. We may go on a GLP-1, and then when we come off it, our body then also doesn't make as much as it did before. I've also heard that recently. So it's really catastrophic.
That's scary.
So literally what we're saying is we can never come off of these drugs.
So why does that happen? Is it our bodies just become lazy because, or does it affect our natural production of GLP-1 when we take
That's what I'm
these
That
thinking.
could be, that's one of the
Yep.
possible side effects that could happen. Basically, it's the same side effect that everything that we do for the body does. You can take a very good example with that would be hormone therapy.
Mm.
Or
You do hormone
HRT.
therapy. Yeah, you do hormone therapy. You basically tell the body that you're doing exogenous supplementation. For example, for men, they
Testosterone.
use testosterone exogenously. The body just says, "Okay, you can do it,"
Mm.
and it just goes, "Okay, I'll just do this amount," and then what happens is this amount is only what I produce, but the other side of that, which is estrogen, goes, okay, since this is higher and I need to go higher, estrogen also goes up. So those are kind of the same effects that happens in the body. We don't know what's going to happen in the body. We never do. We can do a lot of tests for our body. We can do the blood test, the scans, and everything. That's that. But the signal is biological. We don't know what's going to happen after the signal's lost.
Right. And also, I mean, then just going back to that, I mean, okay, we've decided we're going to undertake our GLP-1 journey, but do you think people are really understanding the risks, and are there risks? And do we have enough information yet, or is there still a very long way to go before we really see if these medications are actually going to be doing us more harm than good?
From a perspective of on the fitness industry right now, what we can do, or what we're trying to help with people with, is to get the lifestyle changes. In terms of effectivity, it's been proven it does work. There's no doubt about it. It does work. Now the risk is the same as every medication out there in the market is. You can take them, and what happens in your body is something that could be either mild or it could be drastic. And it's always been up to the body to decide whether she's going to use it effectively or not. So, do we keep a person on a GLP-1?
Yeah.
Technically speaking, if you use a low dose, which is so far as like a 2 mg, let's say, for example, tirzepatide, they can keep it. They can keep using that for a very long time. For those who have been on higher doses, who has experienced side effects, that's when they titrate down. So I have some clients who've used 15, titrated down to 10, and then eventually 5, and then eventually 2, so that they can keep the signal. The good thing that these clients of mine have is that they actually decided to do lifestyle changes. They decided to go to the gym.
So can I ask you something? So can they just be on a calorie deficit? Is that the same as being on a calorie deficit?
Exactly. Exactly.
Right?
Because
So
this
it's
is
either
this is
they're
exactly.
on a meal plan that's basically focused like with a goal for a calorie deficit, or you can take a GLP-1. Would you say that's an accurate comparison? You can do this or that?
That's a very good comparison. That's an amazing comparison, Lana, because if you go to a caloric deficit, you will have the same result that you have when taking GLP-1. Now, I think the reason why people would like to do GLP-1s and GLP-2s or GIPs is because they can't get into that into that habit of actually doing a caloric deficit.
Cravings, all of the other stuff that comes when we overeat.
Because it's hard. It's really hard.
Just coming from a nutrition standpoint and being in the food space for as long as I have, people just don't give it a chance. Really, really, really. I mean, if you're you can be in a calorie deficit and still so full that you will not experience any food noise if you just rework your macros to have enough fiber, to have enough protein, to have enough carbs. I mean, to really understand the macro split, you can really emit all the food noise. But like you said, maybe people don't want to take the time to really understand that. But
do you not think that there is more of a psychological aspect of it, though, when it comes to weight loss? I mean, yes, like people understand, well, not everybody understands nutrition, but a lot of people are educated when it comes to nutrition, but they just can't do it because maybe it's more of a psychological issue, and that's something else, right?
It's a very psychological issue when it comes to food. And when we talk about that in fitness, where usually we say like your abs are going to be like 30% in the gym, 70% in the kitchen. That 70% in the kitchen is actually very true. And the thing right now with regards to nutrition and food is we've already had very big research about how food should be with regards to macros, proteins, carbs, and fat. But changing the way people eat is a very, very, very big challenge.
Yeah, which I think also, I mean, if you're getting on a GLP-1, I think you should also, work on your relationship with food as well. I mean,
That's the biggest opportunity.
really, I mean, if you don't want to develop a lifestyle habit, but it really work on it just to better understand what's going on.
Because when people think about going on caloric deficit, the first thing that comes into their mind is I'm not going to eat.
Yeah, it's deprivation, right?
That's it. It's oh no, I'm not going to eat. And then in their mind, the mind is always going to play games with you in which they'd be like, oh, you can't eat sugar anymore. Oh, you can't eat the things that you've been enjoying. Oh, you can't eat too much of this. You have to avoid this. Now you have to eat the bland stuff. You're going to eat a lot of vegetables and fruits. It's not. It's not. It's not. And when people ask me about nutrition, the first thing that I always recommend to them is how much do you actually love your food? What's your preferences? What are the things that you like eating? And then from there, we kind of guide them into understanding, hey, this is the food that you're eating right now, and this is the effect that's you're having. If you're technically, if your weight didn't change for the past 2 weeks eating the same food, that's basically you maintaining.
So I think what we're establishing is we always, the first point would be always to try to change those foundational lifestyle habits first before they would even consider going down the Mounjaro route or whatever, the GLP-1 route. And I think that's something very key that us as people that are in the fitness industry, we really need to, educate people on this, about these quick fixes. And highlight the risks, of course, but I just think it's very important that we get people informed, so that they don't end up in a worst case scenario later on down the line.
And I believe people always have the ability to be informed, and they always have the ability to be able to assess the risks that this is going to take and the effects that they might have in their bodies. As a personal trainer and as a person who would support a client on their journey, if you do decide to take this because in your mind this is finally my chance to really break through that barrier, my response would always be like, I will support you with this. And in any case, just make sure that of course you are taking it safely from a trusted source, and you do have the support of a physician or an endocrinologist or a specialist in peptides that would be able to monitor how it is affecting your body. And with regards to the lifestyle changes, I'll be taking advantage of your insulin sensitivity and your energy levels, which are going to result from taking these peptides and going to put them to use to ensure that you're going to really push through that barrier and gain that muscle that would keep this fat away from you.
Interesting.
So how do you maintain your protein goals while you're on a GLP-1 and you're training? Like, how do you build muscle if you're not eating enough protein and not getting enough carbs? I mean, after a day of training, I come back home ravenous, and I want to hit those 150 grams of protein sometimes in a day. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but there are days that I hit that amount. And I can't imagine not being able to build muscle. if you're not fueling,
Yes.
so do they
And
can you eventually wean off, after training and you kind of develop the habits because you've been, getting into the gym and you're seeing these amazing results and I don't know, and then you slowly get off the GLP-1. Is that something that is doable or?
that's very much doable. Very, very much doable. And that's actually the goal when you titrate down from a very big dose to a smaller dose until you get maintenance of like the smallest dose, which is about 2. And then eventually, once they get used to that lifestyle change, eventually we go wean it off. Okay. After a few weeks, you stop taking them, and then we'll see what happens. Because once they got used to eating less and being able to control that food noise, it becomes really, really good, and the journey becomes better. That they're now out of the signaling of the peptide, and then they can maintain that on their own.
Yeah.
With regards to
Fueling to build
fueling, in
wow.
regards to the nutrition while you're in that, this is where working with a nutritionist is really, really important, because we have to maintain macros. We have to maintain the protein. Still, technically, the macros don't change. It's still the same, 1.5 to 2 grams per your body weight. They don't change. The one that usually suffers is carbs.
Yeah.
So the one that usually suffers is carbs. That's yes, exactly. We need carbs.
Bad rap.
Love carbs. We're always bashing on the carbs.
And people like misunderstand the carbs a lot. Be like, yeah, we need to decrease the carbs. It's like, why would you decrease the carbs? How are you going to lift?
Yeah.
How are you going to get energy? Most of the exercises that you're going to make in your lifestyle change is glycolytic. It needs carbs. Your brain prefers carbs. So for it to work, it needs carbs. So sometimes even to the point wherein we tell them is like, you know what, you really want to have an effect on your body, eat like a bodybuilder. Always meets the proteins first, maintains their carbs so that they can push really hard, and maintains a healthy level of fat because they need it for hormones. And yes, and people will be like, yeah, but that's hard. Technically, it isn't, because if you go to a restaurant right now and you order a steak, what would they give you? A big piece of meat, carbs, a few vegetables, and you don't see any much fat, because what they're going to give you as a sauce is very little. The fat is already on the protein.
Yeah.
So you want to do bodybuilding, eat like you're going to a restaurant. It's expensive in the restaurant. You can cook it for yourself.
True. So where do you see this going? I mean, what is the future of GLP-1s? Do you see it getting not refined, that's not the right word, but I mean, for example, do you see them ever developing one that will maintain our muscle mass as well? Is that a possibility?
I hope.
With regards to the ones that we're talking about right now, the GLP-1s, the GIPs, and the GLP-2s, now there's also a GLP-3. It all depends on lifestyle. It all depends on lifestyle changes that's going to happen. For example, bodybuilders right now are taking advantage of retatrutide, which is a GLP-3. They're using it. Why do they use it? Because they will lose that fat. They will lose that fat layer that's basically them cutting. It gives them an easier time.
Peptide.
Yeah, that's the next one. So you have your semaglutide, you have your level 2 tirzepatide, and then you have your retatrutide.
Right.
But the retatrutide does not have yet enough studies to basically support its safety, its efficacy, but it's being used.
Yeah.
Right. It's being used right now. If you're asking, is the peptide going to change the way that we've lived? If it already has. It's already revolutionized medicine in terms of how people would be using these peptides to help them in their everyday lives, because not just the GLP-1s or the things that will help weight loss drugs that's happening right now. There's also a lot of peptides that's being used for skin collagen. There's peptides being used for tendon, fascia, and muscle. There's peptides being used for better metabolism. There's a lot of peptides being used right now in the market, and they're very easy to reach. And has it changed the way that people have lived, especially those that can afford it? Yes, definitely. I've already seen peptides work wonders for a lot of people who would like to perform. I've had the opportunity to meet one CrossFitter who was like literally injured because he fell like 3 meters from a jump, and then injured his ankle, and basically recovered in 3 weeks to compete
That's
because of
cool.
peptides. It's crazy. It works. It really works.
So, do you think we'll ever get to a point where we're stacking peptides like the way we stack our supplements?
It's already here.
It's all.
I mean, it's all
It's
falling
already
under
here.
this umbrella of longevity, which is the real buzzword, isn't it? And I think for those
Yes.
that, potentially can afford it, because let's face it, we know it's expensive. This is where I see things going. Just more and more people are going to be, stacking their peptides and, looking for that long life, but essentially also a longer health span as well. So it's a really, we're on the sort of the curve of something really revolutionary, I feel like in this field.
So it's
Mhm.
either
It
you
is.
join the trend or you don't. Like, can you stay old school and still benefit?
It has benefits to it. It has benefits to staying old school and still benefit from it. If you wanted to stay like super natural, it's because, as we've said earlier, the peptides you already have them. The only difference is it's going to take a lot of mental fortitude to actually do the fundamental stuff so that you can make a change in your life. That's the concept of self-efficacy. You decide, you do, you get results. The peptides work because it allows you, it gives you a lot of supplemental help so that you can make your life easier in terms of your recovery, the way you control the food noise, the way that you're going to break through those barriers. It gives you that chance, and it's not a shortcut. It's just that it's you supplement that message within that body so that it can help your body work better. And it has, for me, it has helped a lot of clients. It has given them that opportunity to really break through those barriers that has been hounding them for years. And we had the opportunity to be able to help them in terms of getting that lifestyle change that they would eventually need so that they can maintain their performance even without the help of these peptides being injected to them.
I gotta say, I'm having a bit of FOMO, like with it all. Like, I feel like I'm missing out, but like, there's that side of me that is
I'm
somewhat
scared.
nervous. Like, like, am I gonna suddenly grow two heads? Like, it's
Yeah.
like we don't know, right? So, but I do see these people like, getting these peptide stacks or taking these GLP-1s, and I'm kind of thinking, am I missing out on something here? And, there is certainly that feeling at the moment, I feel.
Of course, everybody has that feeling, even for us. And when you see people taking these, for me, who's been old school, has been in the fitness industry for like 2 decades now, being active, we've kind of established that for us to be able to get results, we have to do this. For the people who hasn't had the success, this is a very good way for them to break through.
Right.
Yeah, a small
So
foot in the door.
yes, that's a very big, hey, here's the key to the door, open the door, you'll get there. And I believe for us to be, especially in the medical field, I've seen doctors now, at least, which is very, very fortunate for us. I've seen doctors educate themselves
Right. And that's
about
key, isn't
peptides.
it?
So important.
Yeah.
Yes. So now they're more into research. They're now researching about it, they're reading about it, they're educating themselves about it, they're going to conventions about it. Now it's not just the influencers and biohackers that's involved. And I'm very happy that the medical field is now moving forward into technically accepting that it has been announced to the world that it works. It's
So I
like, it's like a very big secret. It's like, ta-da.
think we can safely say that these peptides and GLP-1s are not going away anywhere anytime soon.
I To the point that I think this is now a new normal,
Yes.
especially now that they made it very, very reachable with the emergence of the pill form.
Yeah, that you can buy online, right?
You can literally buy them. You can buy them on the pharmacies right now. I mean, for now, there's only two countries that is been approved to, the US and here,
Yeah.
but now they're available. They've been launched. They're available. You can literally go to Google and find out which pharmacy has it.
Wow.
If you're in the peptide market, you'll definitely know where to get it.
Yeah.
You'll definitely know where to get it. You technically don't need the pharmacy, which is kind of dangerous if you ask me.
Right.
That's
So, I mean, if we kind of wanted to summarize really what we've said today, like if you had sort of 5 tips, or if you had sort of a go away message to people that were listening to this today, like what would you say? What would be like your 5 top tips if you're even considering perhaps going down the GLP-1 route?
Number one is always to keep yourself safe. Do not just jump into the bandwagon just because you've heard it from an influencer or from a friend, even. What I would always recommend is consult a doctor, do the blood test, do the work, invest in the things that would establish baseline measurement of who you are right now. And if there's any underlying conditions, always keep yourself safe. That's number one. Number two, do not do a peptide unless you're also ready to make changes in your life.
Mm.
You need to be ready. Not it's not a magic pill. It does work, but you do know that when this magic pill comes off, everything comes back. And this is not a secret. It's already been proven by science. So when you take this pill, be ready to make those changes. And they're going to be technically the same uncomfortable changes that you may have probably did before. But now that you're taking in the GLPs and these peptides, you're going to have to work on them actually harder.
yeah.
Great.
Number three, yes, number three, when you start taking them, do not be extreme. We understand that you want to break through those barriers and doors, but start small, always with the guidance of your doctor, and they will decide whether it's going to be safe for you to go through a more aggressive dosing, like 10s, 15s, because we know that there's going to be really, really big changes when you take those doses. You're going to lose the weight, definitely, but the after effects of weight loss would be something that will need to be uh, treated and basically covered with once they happen. Number four, please do make sure that you hire a personal trainer.
Yes.
That will help you in understanding the things that you need to be able to do as a lifestyle change. And hopefully, and please look for a personal trainer who is knowledgeable about the things that they're actually doing rather than the people who just talks about it. Someone who can prove to you that they can make changes even without these peptides, and someone who can explain to you why, where, when, what, and how. Don't just hire someone who's very, very good at talking, and you know that the training is not as you would expect it to be. And number five, of course, be ready for financially. Because it's not like you're gonna try for a month or two, and
That's
then
very good, actually.
Yeah, that is a very good point. It's like setting aside an investment, basically.
yes,
So
yes, it is.
budget for it.
It's not like you're gonna try for 1 to 2 months and then voila, I got the target that I'm looking for. There's actually a lot of work entailed in taking these medications. And honestly speaking, even without these medications, you could have invested all that money into getting a healthier lifestyle,
Getting a personal trainer.
getting a personal trainer,
I mean,
training hard, training to failure, getting that RPE high enough to stimulate your muscle to build and to reduce the fat, getting that money to eat well,
right. Yeah, learning.
having a nutritionist, learning how to eat well, loving having a better relationship with your food, and all that money could have been saved. But in any case, this peptides will open doors for you. And if you're ready to take both the risk and the reward that the peptides are going to be giving you, by all means, go ahead and please do. And we're always here to support you.
Amazing.
Amazing.
So yeah, I mean, you've given us a really food for thought in a way, and obviously you've given us some amazing tips there. Thank you so much. And I think, we can wrap this up now, and there's a lot to think about, quite honestly. And I really hope that the people here, or the people that are going to listen to this, are just gonna, if they are considering perhaps taking a GLP-1, will really take on board now what you've said, particularly, where, as it pertains to those lifestyle changes, because I think first and foremost, that's what, we're saying that is really the first major steps that people need to take before they consider it. So I would just want to say thank you so much, Marlon, for coming on to our podcast today. It's been wonderful to have you as a guest. And for everybody that's listening to this, obviously, if you do have any questions, we'd love to hear from you. You can subscribe to our channel. And if you want to share this with somebody that's perhaps considering a GLP-1, then please share the podcast, give it a like, send it on its way, and we'll be seeing you back here again very, very soon for another Midlife Mix conversation. See you soon.
See you soon. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Lana.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Midlife Mix. If you enjoyed this episode, follow or subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.